Our fight against an invisible enemy has turned life in America upside down.
At the end of the day, we're trying to protect our health systems from getting completely overrun.
So don't know if you saw it, Trump's HHS Secretary Alex Azar in front of Congress being asked point blank, will a vaccine to the coronavirus be affordable for the American people?
Well, but we can't control that price because we need the private sector to invest.
Oh my God, when I heard that, I don't think everyone realized the gravity and significance of that moment. Here you have the head of HHS, but a former drug company executive fighting like heck to keep this system of putting profits over people in place, which is ridiculous in a time like this. I don't think people understand how this system really works and operates.
Here's the secret I'm going to let you in on that everyone in Washington already knows. The pharmaceutical industry can only create new drugs because the government pays for the initial research with our tax dollars. This is how they turn public money into private profits. The drug industry spends way more on marketing old drugs than developing new ones. And they spend obscene amounts of money to buy up smaller companies and then pay big salaries for their executives instead of funding their own research. Then they jack up drug prices on the rest of us. The result is that Americans pay nearly 4 times as much for prescription drugs than people in other countries. In some cases, 67 times more for the same prescription drug.
Even before coronavirus, we've had this massive crisis in drug pricing for all these Americans that can't afford these pharmaceuticals that they need to live. And when you hear their voices, you can just hear the frustration and despair that they'd be treated like this in the richest country on earth.
Begging for your life from for-profit companies is not a way to live. I have type 1 diabetes, and I've been living with it since 1996.
Type 1 diabetes since I was 12 years old.
The total came to almost $500 for one form of insulin that I was on. And I just remember I almost, I got choked up. I almost started crying right there at the pharmacy counter.
I've had sickle cell for 33 years, which is all of my life. The cost of the drugs throughout my life have been kind of just insurmountable.
When I was 26 years old, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia. The diagnosis just upended my life. The therapy to treat it is $146,000 a year.
The Procrit shot that I take every 2 weeks is about $6,500 per shot.
This medication was developed on taxpayer-funded studies.
But drug companies are allowed to file patents on these drugs and then price gouge Americans out of being able to afford them.
With coronavirus, this is what you should be worried about.
So there is something that we can do about all of this right now. The Trump administration already has tools to bring drug prices down. It just isn't using them because it's cozying up to the drug industry. There's an existing law. It's called government patent use. It allows the federal government to buy drugs on the competitive market, essentially override or break the patent. If the company can't make enough or refuses to sell at a reasonable price, they have the option to do that. Donald Trump could order agencies to break monopolies around drugs at any time and stop price gouging. It would save people's lives.
Tell Donald Trump to end the monopolies on life-saving drugs. Let's start with coronavirus vaccine and treatments.